Hello and good afternoon. Hello everybody. Hopefully you can see me and hear me okay. Thank you for joining KORG's live stream today. Happy Wednesday, everyone. My name is Frank Tedesco, and we are looking at a very cool product today. It's called the i3 workstation. This is going to be about an hour-long stream of me answering your questions about this keyboard, just going over general specs, a couple cool features, and I'll play a few things for you as well. And so if you have any questions, feel free to jot them in the comments section, and I will do my best to answer. Well, how about we get it started? All right, so I want to talk a little bit about this keyboard. So this is the KORG i3 workstation, and it's kind of a hybrid between a workstation and sort of an arranger, like KORG's arrangers and the workstations, because it has a lot of the great synthesizers and sounds found in our workstations, but it also has a sequencer, and it also has a lot of the features of an arranger as well. So a lot of the parts are at the top, and hopefully you can see more or less what I'll be pointing to. And I have my chat up here, so I'll be able to see all your questions. Or if you just want to say hi, feel free to say hi. It's great. So what I'd like to do actually to start is I just want to play you something, just so you can hear what it sounds like. And then we'll do a little bit of talking. So I'm going to mute my microphone, and we'll just go through a couple sounds just so you can get a feel for what it sounds like. So that was just a basic piano and pad sound. No background drums or instrumentation added on this. So one of the great features about the i3 is that it has sort of a backing track, and this is kind of the arranger element that it has. So right now I just have a piano and a pad going across the entire range of the keyboard, right? So what you can do is actually add in your own band to play along with the chords that you play in the lower half of the keyboard. So for an example, if we take that same sound, we can put what's called a style along with it. So now I have a background band that's playing drums, bass, a couple other auxiliary percussion, other parts that are following in real time with my chords. And so my right hand is still free to play whatever I want in the right hand. Great, so that's the idea with that. Let's play one more, and then I want to talk a little bit about the actual interface. Let's see if any questions. Hey, Rosemary, how are you? You guys are saying hi. Hey, Frank A. Gunther. Gazwan, hello. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Hello, Gregory. Great, so we're going to touch on a bunch of these things. So just to start, why don't we talk a little bit, I have my view on the top, so let's talk a little bit just about the layout. So right off the bat on the top, you'll see that we have a grand piano button. And this is fantastic because no matter what you're doing on the keyboard, no matter what you're playing, if you're in sequencer mode, if you're in a different mode, a lot of times you just want to get to a standard piano. That's what this button is for. No matter what you're doing, this will always just bring you back to your default piano sound. Great. So, and then we have our styles. So the styles is kind of like the background track of a lot of these songs. And there's 290 of them on the i3 actually. So you can get to it. It might be a little bit difficult to see here, but it's on the bottom half. You can get to it by using the arrow, and then you can access all 290 styles, and you can play them using the play button on here. So you can hear what they sound like. Great. So up here you have what are called your style sets. It says style performance at the top. So what this basically means is that, remember, there's a split when you're using your styles. So with the left heft of the keyboard, you have the chords that the band that's playing along. And then in your right hand, you have a sound so that you can solo. Now, what these sets do is if you click on, there's 4 sets per style. And basically, they'll give you sounds that are somewhat related to the genre of the style. So if I'm in, for example, maybe a polka. The sets will give me instruments that are kind of related. So it's very convenient. You can change those if you'd like. It's very easy. If you're just hovered over a set, you can just change the sound right there. And it's super easy to do that as well. You can also layer them. You have your upper sounds over here, and right now I have your trumpets, kind of sounds like a vibraphone. So you can layer your sounds as well, just to kind of fatten up the sound. And one more point, and then we're going to get to some questions. On the bottom half, you'll notice that we have all of the instruments that make up a style. So this is where it gets really cool, because if I'm playing a style, any style, let's say, something like this, right? Here you have bass, the drums, percussion, and then parts 1 through 5. So you can actually go in and mute the individual parts just to change around the style. So you can remove the bass, you can remove the drums, and then you just have your melodic instruments. Same thing with the parts. You can mute the parts as well. How many notes can the sequencer hold? So in terms of the notes in sequencer mode, I think you can find more of that information on the site. But in terms of polyphony, it's 64 note polyphony at once. And I believe that does carry over to the sequencer mode as well. But we have more information about that on KORG's website. Sure, Guido asks if we can play a sound with less reverb. Sure, if we go to the piano sound that we played in the beginning and play it with just a little bit less reverb so you can get another idea of what that sounds like. So let's exit this. So this is the same piano sound. Before in the beginning I was playing this sound. But now we're just going to play just the grand piano sound. No added reverb. Much different to the KORG i3 I owned in the 90s. Definitely, it's a completely different beast than the previously released i3. Main difference is a lot of it being the power of a workstation and the power of an arranger. Being able to utilize elements of both of those in one keyboard is pretty amazing. And for those of you who are just joining, hello, my name is Frank. We are demonstrating a little bit of the i3 workstation. Hope you guys are enjoying. If you have a question, please leave it in the comments and I will try my best to get to as many as I see. We're going over the specs right now. I've already explained a little bit about the sounds and different styles, the different parts that you can mute and unmute, all the layerings, and the style sets as well. So really quickly, I do want to go over a little bit about what you can do in terms of recording and how you can alter the style to change the intensity. So with every style, you have 4 variations. And if you're an arranger owner, if you've played an arranger, you've probably noticed this, that you can actually change the intensity, we'll call it, of each style. So for example, let's just find a style. Sure, this works. So I have a style up right now, and now it's on variation 1, so it's kind of like the least intense. And you can press, the way that this keyboard is layered out, if you want to go to the second variation, you would double tap on the 2. See, it says 1/2 variation, and then you have 3, and then you have 4 as well. And you know that you're on the latter half of the button if the button is red. So green is 1, you have red is 2, green is 3, and then red is 4. So just so you can hear what that sounds like. So I'm on variation 2, right? And say this is maybe like the bridge or something, and I'm getting ready to go to a chorus. I want to jump to variation 4. So much more percussion, different bass line, overall volume being a little bit louder. Just gives you a lot of power to kind of make an arc of a song that you'd like to do. So let's go back to variation 2. See, strings dropped out, and I'm hitting the fill button to have the drums do a fill. You can also just do a break. So it actually gives you quite a bit of power. Hello, Frank A. We got a question from Sammer. Hello, Sammer. Sammer asks if you can edit the styles. That's a great question, and you actually can. So if you have a style pulled up, let's go to, why don't we go to some sort of hip-hop beat, maybe? Let's see what we got here. Cool, so we're on a hip-hop beat, right? And maybe I'm playing along, you know, this is really nice, but I kind of want a different bass sound, you know? And remember, I was just talking about how you have all of your instruments laid out here, including the bass. So if I want to change the bass, you can actually just click on the bass button, and it'll bring you to the bass that you're currently on, which in this case is dark R&B bass. All you have to do to change it is just switch. See, now we're on a brighter, kind of funkier bass called Jungle Res. And that's it. And you've changed the bass. You can also alter any other part too. You can alter the drum kit. I'm on Jungle Kit. You can alter the percussion, the auxiliary percussion. So it really allows you to basically completely change any of these styles while still keeping the fundamental, the fundamental sound of it, which is really nice. And that concept also goes for the style sets as well. I might have already mentioned, but the sounds in your style sets, if you're not a big fan of that, you can just change them as well. So you can literally change almost every single aspect of each style. Where does it fit in with the Kronos and the PA models? So it's a bit of a different beast than the Kronos. It does still have some of the great sounds that the Kronos has, but it's quite different. It more relates to the PA arrangers, just with basically everything that I've been talking about. And there are many other things too, which we'll get into. There's a sequencer mode, which I definitely want to talk about. But before we get to that, I want to talk about chord mode. And for any of you who are Kronos users and know of the pad mode in the Kronos, this might look a little bit familiar. This actually allows you to turn these bottom keys right here into actual chords, into basically a chord pad tool. So if I'm playing, You can literally just touch the buttons and it'll play the chords for you. And you'll see the chord in the top right of the screen, which you might have trouble seeing right now, but I promise I'm not lying. So if you're not too comfortable with playing chords, but you also want to maybe solo or just practice something with your right hand, you can kind of just do that. You can comp yourself with the chord tool. So that's a really neat feature. I was really happy to see that. That's a lot of fun. And very helpful, too. It can be very helpful. Got Hillel. Hello. How are you? Thanks for joining the stream. For anybody just joining, we are demonstrating the i3 workstation. We're going through the sounds and styles. Hope you guys are enjoying. If you have any questions, like I mentioned earlier, please drop them in the comments. I will try my best to get to as many as possible. If I miss your question, please check out KORG's website because there's probably a bunch of information that I will not be able to mention in the hour that we have together. This is just more of a basic overview of some of the specs, and we'll get into a few other things as well. Just read through the chat a little bit. Can you tell me, this is from Simon, can you tell me what is special about this keyboard? Not a synthesizer, and not like the PA arrangers. The thing that's special about this keyboard is the fact that it takes elements of an arranger and a synthesizer. So being able to have a backing track that arrangers have while also still having a sequencer mode and still having things like a chord tool is really unique and very exciting because there are a lot of people who want elements of both that you wouldn't be able to do, you know? So with that said, I do want to talk a little bit about the sequencer mode and how you can record in sequencer mode. So sequencer mode is just a button up here, brings you to sequencer mode. So if I wanted to record something and I wanted to edit it within sequencer mode, right? Say I want to record something. You have your record button right here, right? Press that. I'm going to press play and I'm going to record something. Sure, that works. Okay, boom, masterpiece. So now if I go to sequencer mode, after you record in performance mode, now you go to sequencer mode and you'll see that you have a user song available now. So now if you play back, it will play what I recorded. Here we go. So the really cool thing about this is with even in sequencer mode, you still have access to all the individual elements that make up the style. So, for example, you can change the bass again. You can change the drums. Sure, just change a little bit of it around. So within that, you'll also notice there's a button called Overdub. Now, Overdub is a way that you can record an additional part. So in addition to this piano part, if I want to overdub on top of that, I can do that as well. And this is very different than the overwrite button. I want to make sure I'm clear on the difference. The overdub button will put another layer over what you recorded. The overwrite is if you want to basically delete what you just recorded and replace it. So if I recorded, you know, and I'm like, oh, I didn't really love that. What you can do is overwrite it, and then when you play your new thing, it will delete that previous take and record the new thing. Whereas overdubbing will keep the previous track and just kind of stack on top of that. So if you want to delete a track, this is very important. We get a lot of questions on this. If you recorded something in sequencer mode and you wanted to delete it altogether and not replace it, what you would do is record using overwrite and just not play anything. So it basically is recording silence over that previous track. Hopefully that answers your question, Simon. Also, there may be some questions that I don't get to, and we have some people on the other end who are answering in the chat as well. Cool. All right, so we talked a little bit about sequencer mode. We talked about chord mode. We talked about the recording functions, starting and stopping a style, some of the other elements. You also have a bank of your favorites. So if there's a sound that you are particularly fond of, you can write it to one of your bank so that you can call it up very easily. That's pretty standard in arrangers and workstations. You have other standard things, your tap tempo. So if you're playing, obviously change your tempo in real time. You have ensemble mode, which kind of just layers harmony onto your instrument. Your performance recording, this is what you use if you want to record something as audio instead of MIDI. So if you wanted to record an audio track and export it onto a flash drive as an audio file, you would record it in performance record mode. And then you have some effects as well. Eyes asks, can it sample? I don't believe there's a sample mode on this. No, it cannot sample. And I don't believe there's a smaller version as well. This is the smallest version of this model available. Roy asks, not totally clear on the dubbing. Oh, okay, on sequencer mode. Can you delete only the overdubbed layer? So when you record something, I believe you can go back one layer. So for example, if I recorded a style, this style, and I recorded one track, and then I recorded another layer, and then I recorded a third layer, I believe if you just overwrite it, it will only take one layer back. Because it's not, you don't have a bunch of empty tracks that you're recording, so you can't go in individually and delete tracks that you recorded, say, 4 passes ago. It only goes one back, if that makes sense, which is pretty common in certain pieces of gear. I actually have a loop station that's very similar where if I record 4 things onto one track, it'll only let me erase one track back. I hope that answers your question. Hey, Greg, how are you? Thanks for being here. Hope you guys are enjoying the stream. Like I've said a couple times, if you guys are just joining in, we're talking about the i3. I'm answering some questions, going over some of the specs, the user interface. We're going to talk about some of the settings. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I have my chat right up here, which you can see. And I'll be answering some of those that I can. And we also have some people on the other end who will be answering your questions as well. Great. Well, real quick, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the settings that you can change. And then we'll do a little bit more playing. I've been talking a lot. I know what you guys are thinking. Man, can this guy just play and stop talking? The answer is maybe. So let's talk about a little bit of the settings in menu mode. You have standard things, your key response, your split point. So this is important too. If you want to change the split point between your lower and upper sounds while you're playing a style, this is how you do that. You do it in menu mode, and you can change the split point. I have it right now set to C3, but you can change it to basically anywhere you'd like. There's also your pitch bending range, your pedal function. Right now I have mine set to damper, but if you want, you can set it to, I think it'll let you set it to an expression pedal as well, or you can just have it no assigned. The pedal polarity, you always want to put this in reverse. This is something that always happens. A lot of times when you first plug in a pedal, the polarity will be flipped, so it'll sustain, and then when you hold down the pedal, it won't sustain. So you need to flip that. So that's where you do that in this, and most other products, it's a polarity thing. You have your master tuning, chord detect. I do want to talk about this. So right now, I have the chord detect on fingered 3/bass. So this basically means that it supports inversions, which is super important. So it allows me to do things like the bass inversion. So for any music theory people, if I'm playing a chord like a first inversion E flat, if you don't have the bass mode on, it won't do the inversion. So regardless of if I play first inversion, second inversion, it'll always play the root note, the bass. So I always recommend using that setting, fingered 3/bass. So that way it'll recognize the chord only when you play a triad, and only when whatever your bottom note is what the bass note will play. A couple other things: tempo lock, tap auto start, your MIDI clock, metronome level, the volume of your metronome, audio levels, the level of the actual audio being outputted, auto power, and your battery type. So this actually runs on batteries as well. Doesn't have to. You can use the cable included, but I'm actually running this on batteries right now. 6 AA batteries, and I believe the power lasts about 8 hours, if I remember correctly. 6 to 8 hours. Okay, we got a couple questions coming in. Piotr? I'm so sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing your name, but we got a question from Piotr asking, can you split the keyboard and play 2 instruments? Yes, you most certainly can. So the way to split it is, remember before I was talking about the layers, hopefully you guys can still see this. You have your 3 layers for any style, right? Remember, a style is a split. So you have your lower sound, which is what recognizes the chords, and you have your upper sound, which is when you can play your melodic instruments. So these first 3 buttons, upper 1, upper 2, and upper 3, correspond to the top half of the keyboard. Wherever your split point is, it's the right half of that. And then lower/split is for the left side. So I turned this off before when I was playing the piano sound because I didn't want to split. I wanted the piano to be across the entire range of the keyboard. If you turn this on by holding Shift and then pressing split, now you have your split. So right now I have my keyboard on the right, and I only have a pad in the left hand. But if I want to change that, you can click on the sound, and then you can change it there. So now I have piano on the right hand, synth in the left hand. And you can change that split point in the settings menu like I was just mentioning. Does it have new brass sounds? I'm not sure if they're new brass sounds. I know it has plenty of brass sounds, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe somebody on the other end could answer that. Hey, David, how are you? Hey, no problem, Piotr. I hope that helped. Great. So actually, I'm just going to play a couple more sounds just so you guys can get a better feel of some of the capabilities. I just want you to hear it a little bit. So I'm going to turn my microphone off. And if you have any other questions, please jot them down in the comments. I will try my best to answer. Nice. So above the style name, there's two sections, and you might not be able to see this with the lighting, but you have the style name on the bottom, and then above that you have the corresponding sound. So you can shift through all of the sounds here. So if you're not interested, like say you just wanted to play with sounds and you didn't really want to mess around with the actual arranger, you know, the background music and the backing track, if you just turn off the layer and split and just go through the sound sets, and it's labeled right here, sound set, you can choose any of the sounds and just play it like a standard instrument. Let's go through a couple of these. These are all bells, there's guitar. So see right now I actually have lower on, so it won't let me play the lower register of the guitar. So I hold shift, press lower, and now I have access to the full range. And you can actually still play the style. And it'll still recognize the chords. Things like that. Let's see what other sounds we got on here, so you guys can see. If you're just tuning in, we are looking over the i3. I'm answering questions you guys may have about it, going over some of the specs, giving some playing examples, just showing what this bad boy can do. Let's see. $129. I wrote down a couple styles that I wanted to show you all. So, tons of different genres on here. We've already went through quite a bit, but I just want to go through a couple more just to show you how versatile this is and how many different styles you can play in. So you can do a count-in feature. There's actually an intro feature too. So if you press intro, like you press your starting chord, if I wanted to play something in D minor, have your intro chord, and then we will play this. So this is all an introduction. I could literally just not do anything. And then it'll start. So we can do like a 1, 2, 3, 4. So now if maybe I want to bring the intensity down a little bit, I'll do a break into variation 1. So now you hear how the bass is going down because I have 3-note bass on. So it does support the inversions, which is nice. If you want to ramp it back up, we can do an ending as well. So we'll give you a nice little outro. You don't even have to do anything. Great, why don't we jump to a Latin beat. All right, let's see. Let's jump into the Latin area. What's this? Here we go. Now we're getting in there. Mambo. Perfect. So a mambo is a really good setting to have chord inversions on because you can do the standard. Like 1, 2, 3, yeah. Oh. Actually, let's do mambo 2. Oh, there we go. My mistake. Boom. Let's see. Salsa. So see, now I'm just going through the styles because I want to find a sound that fits pretty well. So the piano's okay, but instead of having to go through and find your own sounds, this is where the sets come in handy. It's like, oh, this is nice. One, two, three, four. So I can, say for example, just remove the bass. So you can... that sort of thing. You're planning to buy a PA4X. Do you recommend? I recommend. I love the PA4X personally. On a personal note, I think it's one of my favorite arrangers. We got a question, is it possible to create your own sounds? You can layer your own sounds, and through layering, you can create a pretty unique sound. But as far as tweaking the individual sounds, I don't believe that is supported on the i3. I think as far as the customization goes, you can just layer those different sounds as well. There are different effects, so you can slightly alter those. So in a way, it's yes, but it doesn't have as much customizability as other products in our line. And like we've just answered, yes, you can load in additional sounds as well. Great, why don't we experiment with a couple more sounds? I have a couple written down that I wanted to show you guys. These are some of my favorites, just to show the versatility. So this one is one called Rap. I like this one a lot. This one's fun. So now I just removed all the parts. So now we literally just have the bass, the drums, and the percussion. And I'm using sound set 1. There's synths, electric piano, saxophone, and like I said, guys, you can change any of these. You can change all those sounds as well. So that's a really fun style. I really like playing with that one. Here's a completely different vibe, so you guys get a feel for this. Let's do a little counting, a little intro, something. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. There we go. Intro. Boom. This was another one I wanted to show you guys too. This one's fun. Same sort of vibe, same sort of vibe. Let's see what we got. Same sort of elements, different instrument choices. A little bit different when you change their variation. Great. If you guys are just tuning in, welcome. Welcome to the stream. We're talking about the KORG i3. So hopefully you've been able to see a little bit of what this thing can do, how it's sort of a hybrid. It's a mix between an arranger and a workstation, offering both elements from a workstation like a sequencer mode and a chord tool, basically pads for chords, while still having the powerful background band of an arranger and being able to customize all the elements of the band while still having a sequencer and all of the chord tools is really special. And that's what kind of sets this workstation apart from other products. I talked about the banks a little bit, the different sounds. In terms of the keyboard itself, let me show you the little bit of view. So it's in a matte black finish. You have your pitch wheel over here. It's less than 10 pounds. You have your audio out on the back. It has a MIDI out, a pedal for your damper, power cord, which I'm not going to press. And underneath, you have a spot for your batteries. Like I mentioned earlier, it is also battery supported if you want to use 6 AA batteries. The battery power lasts around 6 to 8 hours. So it's pretty good. Good enough for a gig, and it's super convenient. Super convenient. I mean, you literally just pick it up with ease. With ease. Let's see. Music Man Doug, hello. So the buttons right above the keys are like, are they like a preset? Or if you're talking about on the right side over here, these are like preset sounds. This is like your bank of sounds. So you can, if you like a style, you can essentially write your style and save it to bank 2, for example. Unless you're talking about right here. Hey, Greg. Sounds like you guys have tried to create what may be one of the best upgrade keyboards. I'm pretty excited. Yeah, it's really cool. I think it's really cool. Personally, I think it's really awesome being able to have a sequencer mode and chord tools with an arranger. It's interesting. It provides a lot of different sort of functionalities, but it's still basic enough to, I can press the piano button right at the top left, and still just play a piano just straight across. So it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that other products might have, but you can still, it's one of those things where the more you dive in, it really offers a lot, but just on the surface level, it's very approachable in my opinion. And, being able to simply turn off the lower split and just use the keyboard as a full range instrument, like a digital piano or something. And then being able to go from that, go from this, just having a solo piano performance, to just with 2 buttons be like, okay, all right, here we go. And now you have all these different sounds with just a push of a button. So it gives a lot of access to that quite quickly. Left of middle C. Oh, right. Oh, up here? Talking about it here? Let me reread your question. If you're talking about these keys, yes, it's sort of like these make up the elements of a style. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, so I won't get too much into that. But yes, these buttons up here, right down here, make up the different elements of the style. And it's labeled as well, so you can see bass, drums, percussion, and then parts 1 through 5, which varies depending on which style you're on. And so you can mute any of these at any time, and you can also change the sounds at any time. So if you didn't like the bass, you can simply click on the bass and just change it. And then voila, you have a customized style. Hope that answers your question. How easy is it to add a second voice? Let's say strings over piano. Sure, great question. You could do that in just a couple buttons. So it actually doesn't matter which style you're on. So let's just say want a random style, right? If I want to click on upper 1, because remember your sounds on the right side are made up of these upper 1, 2, and 3. Upper 1, 2, and 3 correspond to the right side, and then the lower corresponds to the left side. So if I'm on upper 1, now I'm on a grand piano, right? So just a grand piano, nothing fancy. And if we wanted to do something like, oh, let's layer strings, what you would do is you would hold shift and you press upper 2. So now you have upper 1 layered with upper 2. But in our case right now, well, it actually conveniently happens to be on strings. So in that case, you're done. You can just kind of toggle through all of the sounds and choose which strings you like. And you can even do that with a third sound as well. So if I have, say let's get some strings in here. Like, I'd like another sound on top of that. Now you just, whichever you feel. So now we have a trombone. And it's easy as that. And then you can use that with your style. So you can start playing your style, turn lower split on. Hey, Tires. Thank you. How about the human voice patches? I believe there are some human voice patches on here. I won't go through all the sounds though. I know there's somewhere. There's tons of sounds. In upper 2 right now, we're already getting up there. But there definitely are human sounds. And I believe there are some tutorials and videos on YouTube of people using, I might even be on there as well, using some of those human sounds on this as well. But yes, they do exist. Cool. Hey, how about we play a couple more? Another style? While we wait for any last questions, if you guys have them. If not, totally cool. I appreciate you all being here. I hope you've enjoyed this. Check out 154. This is one that I wanted to show you as well. A little bit more of a new agey sound, which is very fitting because the style is called New Age. So let's do a little intro, just play around. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pick my starting key. I'm going to start on D. So, pick my note, do the intro. Here we go. The longest intro known to man. Here we go. Should have made a cup of coffee. There you go. Getting Lion... I was thinking the exact same thing, Zane. Totally Lion King vibes. Oh, that's so funny. I was wondering if somebody was going to mention that. It's nice. This is just a really nice. This is really nice. So if I wanted to use this across the range of the whole keyboard, remember we just take off the lower part, and then you're good to groove. Frank Rizzo, will this video be available to re-watch? I'm not sure, to be honest. Maybe somebody on the other end can answer. I think so. I think they're going to keep it up. Yeah, the big strings are so nice. So nice. A lot of really powerful sounds on here. Of course, you have synthesizers. So these sounds can be used really well just on their own too. And like I said, you can record something as a performance recording and then export it as an audio file if you want to like import it into a DAW or something like that. '90s exactly. I know. I use a looping station for my own streams, and I always use sounds like that, so I can just loop. And then you just go, you know? So even though I'm not utilizing the arranger functionalities, you can still take advantage of the powerful sounds on its own, which is really nice. And you got the quirky sounds, you know? You gotta have those. Is it really a keyboard without those sounds, you know? That's my first question when I get a piece of equipment. Does it have a Jew harp? If I know Eye to Eye from Goofy Movie, I don't think I know that one actually. Yeah, I don't think I know that. It looks like we're heading towards the end. We got a couple minutes left, so if you guys have any other questions about this, or questions for me, or just anything regarding this keyboard, or you just want to hear something in particular, I'm happy to play it for you. Happy to do it. In the meantime, we can mess around with a couple other sounds just so you can hear. We haven't done disco yet, have we? Gotta love it. Basically, the styles are sort of categorized by genre. So as you move further in the styles, you'll see that they're pretty organized. Right now, I'm going through all of the rock styles, and then you'll see that it immediately goes into all the jazz grooves, and then all the polka, the waltzes, Middle Eastern beats, and then country. So it's very easy to sort of find which sound you're looking for. Salsa, reggae. Some Bach. Let's see. We need something in 3/4. There you go. Just like how Bach wrote it. So like sounds like that. I really love sounds like this. It's a huge sound. I know some people aren't big on tons of reverb, but it's really nice. I mean, there's so much you can do with something like this. Yes, there are Oriental sounds, actually. As you get to the back, we don't have time to jump into that today, unfortunately, but as you go to the back end of the sound sets, you'll see a ton of Oriental sounds back there. What about audio out features? So there's just 1/4 inch left and right audio out, and there's also a MIDI out as well. And I believe might be. Let's see what else. Headphone jack, USB to host, and USB to port as well. But yeah, audio left and right, 1/4 inch, and a MIDI out, 5-pin MIDI. Great. Well, it looks like that is all the time we have today, fellas. And I had a good time. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for being here. This was my first stream with KORG on their website, on Facebook, their first Facebook stream with them. So I had a good time. It was really fun getting to demo this product because I'm a big fan of it. So that was nice. With that being said, we're going to end it up here. And so this video will be posted after it ends. So if you'd like to rewatch it, you most certainly can. And also make sure to follow KORG on Facebook because they stream. There's a live stream every single Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. So same time as the one today. There's one every single Wednesday. And also follow them on Instagram because they're doing a lot of Instagram live videos, I believe, on Thursdays. So make sure you follow KORG on Facebook and Instagram as well. And yeah, you'll be seeing more products. Next Wednesday will be a different product, so not the i3. So look forward to that. You can follow them on all their socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff, all that great stuff. There's so many now. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you, I don't know, I'll see you at some point. Appreciate you all being here.